final hearing for the first of 4 insurrection-related cases against former President Yoon Suk-yeol began this morning. Prosecutors are seeking a 10-year prison sentence for Yoon on charges including obstruction of arrest and infringement of cabinet members' authority to vote on the martial law declaration. Retail giant Coupang has said a former employee responsible for the recent data leak has confessed to using a stolen key to break into about 33 million customer accounts, but added data from only about 3,000 of them was stored, and that the perpetrator deleted all stored data after media reports emerged. However, the Korean government says Coupang's claims have not yet been verified. North Korea displayed apparent progress in its nuclear-powered submarine project, saying its leader Kim Jong-un visited a shipyard to inspect the construction of what the regime claims is an 8,700-ton nuclear-powered submarine. It also said it tested a new type of surface-to-air missile in the East Sea. Hello and thanks for joining us on Arirang News. Prosecutors are seeking a 10-year sentence for former President Yoon Suk-yeol on charges of obstructing the execution of a warrant to arrest him. This comes as the first of 4 court cases against him conclude hearings in a final session today. This morning, Seoul Central District Court began a closing hearing in a case against Yoon for obstructing the execution of a warrant to arrest him and infringing on cabinet ministers' constitutional authority to deliberate and vote on the declaration of martial law. The court is gathering testimonies from former Interior Minister Lee Sang-min and former Finance Minister Choi Sang-mok before final statements from prosecutors, the defense counsel, and Yoon himself. This is the first of 4 insurrection-related trials involving Yoon to wrap up arguments, with an initial decision likely in mid-January. Prosecutors argue that Yoon selectively convened cabinet members during the martial law declaration to create the appearance of legal procedure. His defense maintains the process was lawful and the arrest attempt was illegal. E-commerce giant Coupang has announced that a former staff member admitted responsibility for the recent massive data leak. But this disclosure has been fiercely criticized by the Korean government, which is taking its own steps to respond to the aftermath of the incident. Our Oh Soo-young reports.
Coupang says it identified the former employee responsible for the large-scale leak of customer information after tracking down the individual through digital forensic evidence. According to the e-commerce giant on Thursday, a former staff member admitted to using a stolen security key to access some 33 million customer accounts. Of those, data from about 3,000 accounts were stored. The information included customer names, email addresses, phone numbers, home addresses, limited order details, and roughly 2,000 access codes for shared apartment building entrances. Coupang said no payment information, login credentials, or personal customs clearance numbers were accessed. The company added that the perpetrator deleted all stored data after media reports emerged and said there is no evidence that any information was transmitted to third parties. The individual also told investigators that the laptop used in the breach was destroyed and thrown into a river. Coupang said the device was later recovered during a search of the river. The company said it commissioned top-tier global cybersecurity firms from the early stages of the incident, and that the result of those investigations are consistent with the perpetrator's statements. Coupang said it will continue to provide updates and will separately announce customer compensation measures. However, the government has objected to Coupang's disclosure, saying that the company unilaterally made public matters currently under investigation by a joint public-private probe. The Science Ministry says Coupang's claims have not yet been verified and remain subject to confirmation, adding that investigators are still examining the type, scale and cause of the data leak. On Christmas Day, the Presidential Office convened an emergency ministerial-level meeting to discuss countermeasures to the data leakage. Chaired by Presidential Policy Chief Kim Yong-bum, the meeting was attended by senior officials from relevant ministries, agencies and foreign affairs circles. This comes amid allegations over Coupang's lobbying of US political and government figures, which could lead to potential diplomatic and trade friction, alongside separate criticism from former US National Security Advisor Robert O'Brien over his handling of the Coupang data breach. 오수영 Arirang News.
North Korea has once again ramped up tensions on the Korean peninsula, testing new surface-to-air missiles on Christmas Eve. The test was observed by regime leader Kim Jong-un, who then proceeded to inspect a nuclear-powered submarine project. Our Park Jun-an reports.
North Korea announced two major military developments on Thursday, further escalating military tension on the Korean peninsula. South Korea's Joint Chiefs of Staff announced on Thursday that the military had detected launch signs in advance and tracked several presumed surface-to-air missiles fired from this Hundok area in Gangneung-do province around 5 p.m. on Wednesday toward the East Sea. Observed by North Korean leader Kim Jong-un, Pyongyang conducted the first test of a new type of high-altitude, long-range surface-to-air missile system over the East Sea. Kim congratulated those who participated in the test, which was presented as a standard procedure to enhance the country's air defense capabilities. While a joint analysis with U.S. intelligence is underway, the Joint Chiefs of Staff stressed its robust allied deterrence posture against any potential provocations by the North. Also on Thursday, Kim Jong-un visited a shipyard that is allegedly constructing an 8,700-ton nuclear-powered strategic guided missile submarine. The North Korean state-run Korean Central News Agency quoted Kim as sharply criticizing South Korea's plan to develop nuclear-powered submarines. Kim said the plan, under the approval of the U.S., would further destabilize the Korean peninsula. He described the move as an aggressive act that seriously infringes on North Korea's national security and maritime sovereignty, adding that Pyongyang views it as a security threat that must be met with a response. Kim's observation of the missile tests and visiting the nuclear submarine project were widely seen as efforts to reiterate to South Korea and the United States that denuclearization is impossible. It also serves as a way to highlight deterrence capabilities through propaganda, claiming progress in building submarines with long-endurance submerged operations and nuclear strike capabilities. Park Jun-an, Arirang News.
Fighting continued through Christmas as Ukraine launched drone and missile strikes on major Russian energy facilities on Christmas Day. However, the United States, Ukraine, and Russia continue to hold talks in hopes of a peace deal. Our Lee Seung-jae has more.
Fighting between Russia and Ukraine continued through Christmas, with both sides stepping up attacks on key energy infrastructure. As Russian offensives continued, Ukraine launched retaliatory drone and missile strikes on Christmas Day, targeting several facilities inside Russia. The Ukrainian military said it struck an oil refinery in Russia's Rostov region using British-made Storm Shadow cruise missiles. Ukraine also carried out long-range drone attacks on oil product storage tanks in the Russian port city of Temerik, as well as gas processing plant in Orenburg in southwestern Russia. Both Moscow and Kyiv have increasingly targeted energy facilities in recent weeks, viewing them as critical leverage points as the war nears its fourth year and diplomatic efforts cautiously resume. Meanwhile, on Thursday, Ukrainian President Vladimir Zelensky said he held an hour-long call with U.S. President Donald Trump's special envoy Steve Witkoff and Trump's son-in-law Jared Kushner to discuss possible ways to end the conflict.
Today, we spoke with representatives of the U.S. President for almost an hour. We spoke with Steve Witkoff and Jared Kushner. It was a really good conversation, many details.
Earlier this week, Zelensky unveiled a new 20-point draft peace plan, describing it as the main framework for ending the war. The proposal is a scaled-down version of an earlier 28-point plan that had been discussed between the U.S. and Russia, in which Kyiv criticized for favoring Moscow through territorial concessions and limits on Ukraine's military. Zelensky said key territorial issues remain unresolved and stressed that a direct meeting with Trump would be needed to address the most sensitive points. Meanwhile, Russia said talks with the United States are making slow but steady progress.
In the negotiation process on the settlement of the Ukraine conflict, in the negotiation process with the United States, there is slow but steady progress.
Russian Foreign Ministry spokesperson Maria Zakharova also accused Western European countries of trying to derail negotiations and urged Washington to counter such moves. 이승재, Arirang News.
New York City Mayor-elect Yoon Mamdani has appointed Korean-American author Lee Min-jin, best known for her novel Pachinko, to his inauguration committee ahead of his swearing-in on January 1st. According to Mamdani's transition team, the mayor-elect on Thursday unveiled a list of 48 members of the New York City Mayoral Inauguration Committee, including Lee. The author gained international acclaim for Pachinko, a sweeping novel that depicts the multi-generational struggles of a Korean family living in Japan. According to Mamdani's team, the inauguration committee was chosen from people from across fields and communities and includes New Yorkers whose creativity, leadership, and lived experience reflect the full life of the city. The music industry has seen a greater presence of artificial intelligence this year, not only as a tool for enhancing music, but even taking center stage itself. Our Lee Min-jin tells us more.
K-pop duo Deuce made a comeback in Seoul last month, marking the 30th anniversary of the death of member Kim Sung-jae. And after 28 years, a song written and composed by bandmate Lee Hyun-do brought the duo back to their fans, with Kim's voice restored using AI.
Today's Deuce is not about someone in the present. It's about the two members standing together again before you, in the same time, in the same format, on the same screen.
It was an emotional moment, not only for the fans from 30 years ago, but also for younger people who know Deuce from streaming music. And now, thanks to technology, perhaps the duo have returned to stay with fans forever.
It sounded so vivid, as if it were an original recording of his actual voice. My heart was racing, and it felt like the era of new jack swing had returned.
One of the members passed away very early, but even so, the fact that the group can keep going feels kind of amazing.
What's notable is that AI has long been a part of the K-pop industry, where virtual AI artists and idols already exist.
나는 AI가 아니라 나이비스야. 나이비스.
The same goes for the global pop market. In just the past few months, at least 6 AI or AI-assisted artists have debuted on various Billboard rankings. In November, the country song Walk My Walk by Breaking Rust, created using AI, topped the US Billboard country chart. Then, when another song, Don't Tread on Me by virtual singer Kane Walker, climbed to 3rd place on the same chart, concerns arose both within and outside the industry. Results of a consumer survey offer at least some guidance on how the industry is grappling with the AI era. Opinions were evenly split on whether people wanted to reject AI-generated music itself. But as many as 80% said they wanted clear and transparent disclosure when a song is created by AI.
If music is made or sung by AI, it needs to be transparently disclosed in advance. And if many such works are released, it may even be necessary to establish separate charts dedicated exclusively to AI.
Having moved beyond a supporting role to open up a new horizon in the music market as a star itself, AI is bringing endless amazement, not to mention a chilling sense of unease for some. And as this happens, industry rules and guidelines are increasingly in need of new definitions. Lee Min-jin, Arirang News.
This is The World Now, bringing you everything you need to know from around the globe. Honduras electoral authorities on Wednesday declared Trump-backed conservative Nasri Asfuda the winner of the November 30th presidential election, ending a weeks-long vote count. Asfuda won 40.27% of the vote, narrowly ahead of the center-right Liberal Party candidate Salvador Nasralla at 39.53%. The ruling leftist Libre Party's candidate finished third with 19.19% in a clear rebuke of outgoing President Xiomara Castro's party. Trump endorsed the 67-year-old Asfuda days before the vote, and U.S. Secretary of State Marco Rubio congratulated him on social media. Nasrallah alleged fraud, while the Organization of American States said it is closely following events and noted results were announced with 0.07% still being counted. Pope Leo, in his first Christmas address in St. Peter's Square, urged Ukraine and Russia to find the courage for sincere, direct, and respectful dialogue to end the Ukraine war. He called for weapons to fall silent as U.S.-led negotiations to end the almost 4 years of conflict continue. The Pope on Thursday also pointed to suffering in Gaza. He asked how people cannot think of people in tents exposed to rain, wind, and cold as the war there continues after Hamas' October 7, 2023 attack on Israel. Police in Nigeria said a suspected suicide bomber detonated an explosive inside a mosque during evening prayers on Wednesday, killing at least 5. The blast at the Al-Adu Mosque in Maiduguri, the capital of Borno State, killed at least 5 worshippers and injured 35 others, police said. No group claimed responsibility. The attack comes amid heightened security concerns in Nigeria's northeast, where Boko Haram and its ISWAP faction have waged a 15-year insurgency. Governor Babagana Zulum condemned the attack and urged vigilance, as police said explosive ordnance teams were sweeping the area. A Powerball ticket sold at a gas station in Cabot, Arkansas, won a $1.817 billion jackpot on Christmas Eve, ending 3 months without a top prize winner. Powerball said final sales pushed the jackpot higher, making it the second largest U.S. lottery prize and the largest Powerball prize of 2025. The cash option stands at $834.9 million. Arkansas lottery officials said they will not know the winner until at least Monday because the claims center is closed for the holidays. The 3-month streak included 46 consecutive drawings without a jackpot winner. 추지현, 아리랑 뉴스.
This morning was the coldest we've had so far this winter. A powerful blast of Arctic air has surged in from the north, locking the entire country into a deep freeze. Cold wave alerts are in place in most parts of Korea, but I assume many of you are taking a long Christmas weekend, so if you're heading out, bundle up well. Heavy snow continue along Jeolla-do's west coast, while mountainous regions on Jeju Island could see up to 10 centimeters of snowfall, with heavy snow advisory being issued in those regions. But making conditions rougher is biting wind. A strong wind advisory is in place along coastal areas, bringing feels-like temperatures down at least 5 degrees Celsius. And this afternoon, most regions will see highs near or below freezing, topping out at -4 degrees here in Seoul and Chuncheon, Gwangju getting up to 1 degree under sunny skies. But the good news, the intense cold will finally start to ease tomorrow afternoon. But until then, stay warm and take extra care.
That's all we have for today's noon edition of Arirang News. Thank you for watching. We'll be back at 5 p.m. Korea time. Stay tuned.